Hello, NuPIC. This is NuPIC Development Progress Review for May 15th, 2015. Um, a lot of things to talk about. We skipped our last review in favor of an email review because I wasn't feeling well. So on this review, I'm going to go over a bunch of problems that have been happening and what we're doing to try and fix them. And then we'll talk about a couple of good things, but mostly we'll be talking about problems. So. Okay, let me share my screen. First thing, we'll take a quick look at the roadmap. This is the high-level roadmap that Scott put together. I'd like to point out that serialization is at the very top of this list. We're still trying to work through this. On our other sort of dynamic roadmap, that is, again, the first thing that pops up here. So there's a lot of stuff to do. If you're looking for something to do, we need help doing these serialization tasks. There's lots of examples of things that have already been serialized. You can go look at the closed pull request so you can get an idea of what needs to be done. But we're closing in on the end here, but there's a lot of little tasks that need to get done, which is what most of these to-do items represent. So I will leave it at that. If you're looking for work, please look into the model serialization stuff. Okay. So let's talk about Travis builds. So we've had a problem this past week, more like 2 weeks, with our build time. So as you can see, these are builds over time with the most recent builds on top. We started to increase our builds pretty significantly at some point. We figured out what it was, and we have a fix in place. So here's the PR, or actually the issue that defines it. There's a PR that has a fix that has decreased the build for quite a bit. The thing that bothers me is we didn't realize this was happening until we had so many red builds. A lot of this is my fault because I'm the one that's supposed to be monitoring this, but frankly, I have not been paying attention very well recently because of other responsibilities. So I'd like to have a better type of early warning system in place so that these don't pile up like this, and then all of a sudden I realize, oh shit, everything's broken. But we do have a PR to fix this. Whoops, this isn't it. And it's I'm just waiting for somebody to give it a thumbs up. So once that is fixed, this is a heck of a lot better. And all it does is switch from the Python to the C++ spatial pooler implementation, and that's generally what our problem was anyway. So it's not a big deal. But we need to get that fixed. Okay, so another problem that I'm having is you might have noticed that usually we don't have this status that the core is behind master because we have these automated PRs that come up that get created by the tooling server. Those aren't getting created anymore, so there's a bug there. So if you need NuPIC core to get synced to master, you need to create that PR yourself. I'm working on a fix. I'm not sure exactly what's wrong, but I dug into the tooling server a bit and found a lot of stuff that was going wrong. So just one of those things is here's a visualization of all of the GitHub events that are being sent from GitHub to the tooling server, and the red ones are requests that are never closed. So it looks like I'm actually properly processing 1 out of 3, which is really a bad percentage. So I'm working on a fix for this too. I think this is pretty high priority for me. It's just a tooling problem. This is really because of just bad design. The GitHub event processing was sort of a tack-on process for the tooling server, but it has become one of the most important things that it does. So I'm going to sort of reevaluate how that whole thing works. It's pretty nasty now. I figured out a much better way of doing it. It shouldn't take too long. It's just a little bit of tedious work that needs to get done. And that should fix the problem with the missing PRs. That should fix the the problem with missing all of these Git events that are coming from GitHub. And it also should fix this other problem that shows up when I go through the server logs for the tooling server, which I see this every few hours. The tooling server crashes and restarts. So I need to give it a little TLC. Like I said, I have not been paying much attention to the tooling server recently because it's just been sort of running and crashing in the background and not letting me know what's going on. So I will be working on that. Aside from the tooling and build problems, we do still have quite a few open pull requests. Let's see, we have 32 open pull requests, 23 are overdue. I said in last week's email, I'm going to try and come up with a potential process change or some type of something to try and clean these up. I hate having so many pull requests open. That's in discussion right now. I haven't made a decision about it, but I want to try and change our process a bit so it increases the focus on the currently important development tasks that are occurring and doesn't let all of these pull requests pile up. So most of these, I think there's only 9 of these pull requests are actually ready and waiting for review. The rest of them are they need something to be done by the author, or they're blocked by some other pull request. Okay, so I'm not going to go through each and every one of these. Another thing that happened is I've been getting reports about missing tarballs from, well, I say missing artifacts, missing deployment artifacts, which is a big deal. So that missing NuPIC core binary files from any builds or any NuPIC SHAs older than 2 months, and that was because of an S3 caching policy that I put in place that I've reverted at this point. So that caused a problem because anybody who has a NuPIC checkout older than 2 months and they continue to build off that, if they have not pulled down that NuPIC core binary file, they will get an error and it just will not exist because it's been flushed from S3. So I've increased that to a year at this point, and Scott's proposed a fix to work around it entirely when those tarballs don't actually exist. This was also affecting our wheels for Linux. If you recall, we don't put our Linux wheels on PyPy because PyPy doesn't have a way to do that for Linux. So we've been putting them on S3. So it just started happening because we just went over the 2-month window that the old release, 0.2.1, started failing on Linux, and I started getting reports of that from the community just because of the same problem. They were getting flushed from S3. So that aligned well for me to produce another release. So now we have NuPIC 0.2.2 released, and that's going to be available for the next year. Okay. So the good news is we have a new release of NuPIC after all that bad news. And the other good news that I'd like to share is that the hackathon is got 122 people RSVP'd, so there's going to be a lot of people here. So yay! 8 spots remaining. It's in 15 days. I think it's 15 days. 14 days, 18 hours, 50 minutes, and 43 seconds. We're going to start hacking. If you're going to the hackathon, please go to this page, just numenta.org/hack, and there is a link here to register on Challenge Post, and this is a website we're using for team building for the hackathon. So you can see who is already registered here, and you can say, hey, I'm looking for teammates and I'm interested in doing this or that, and you can see everybody else who's already registered, quite a few. You can try and connect with them, you can start conversations and all this jazz, like a little social networking site for hackathons. So that's fun. That should be good tool for us to use. And let's see, there was one other thing I think I wanted to point out, and now I just can't remember what it was. I wrote all this stuff down, and I had one other thing, and I can't remember what it was. So I guess I'm just going to let it go. I remember what it is now. Okay. So some of the reasons that I've been sort of neglecting some of these tooling processes and haven't been quite as available as usual is I've been working a lot on, well, the hackathon's one thing, but the other thing is we have a significant amount of code at Numenta that has been private for quite a while that we're planning on open sourcing very soon. It will be GPL v3 because it's all stuff that depends directly upon NuPIC. This will be our Grok for IT analytics code base, and as well as another project that we've been working on that we haven't made much of a fuss about, but it's pretty cool. I don't have a date for this, and we're still actively working on it. At this point, it's just legal licensing crap, but it will happen. Hopefully, it'll happen for the hackathon. I will send information out on the mailing list. I'm sure there'll be something in the newsletter at some point. But it's just a more application code of different things you can do with NuPIC, and I think they're pretty neat apps. So I've been working on that, just the licensing issues mostly. So in case you're wondering why all this stuff is broke and Matt hasn't done anything about it. So that's all I got. My list is complete, and now the floor is open for discussion if anybody else wants to bring anything up. David Ray's not here today. He's got a really bad tooth problem, so he bowed out. But does anyone else want to discuss anything while we're all together?
I have a question. I don't know if this is the right forum for it or not, but I've been taking a look at Rafe Seliger's JavaScript port.
Yeah.
Would that be something to discuss here, or is that a different thread?
No, that's fine. Discuss away.
Anyway, I sent an email to Rafe about contributing to his project, and I didn't get a response. I'm not sure. So what I'm trying to do is take his port, which is a port of a port. So he ported JavaScript, a version of JavaScript from htm.java. And I'm interested in getting that configured to work on server-side JavaScript on like on Node or iOS.js. And just kind of wondering what the right approach should be. Should I just go ahead and plow ahead and do it on my own in my own fork, and then when I feel like it's ready, kind of send it back to the community?
Well, are you planning on making changes to his project that he would want to accept back into this project?
I'm not sure. Actually, I don't know if you have much contact with Rafe or not. I haven't been able to get in touch with him. But
oh, I mean, you should work that out with him.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I read his messages on the mailing list, but
Okay.
but I haven't looked at his port at all. But it's up to him, you know. However, he might just say, no, just take it and run with it and do whatever. I don't really care for contributions. In which case, you might program it a lot differently. But if he's willing to accept your changes, you might want to do it in another fashion. So it's up to you and him.
Yeah, I'll just keep it between us then.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Anything else from the office? All right. Okay, thanks, guys.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right. I'm looking forward to the hackathon. That's all I got.
Ah. Yeah, me too. So I didn't make much of a fuss about this, but I did go up and updated the schedule. So I'm really excited about the session we're going to have on music theory. We'll have a special guest musician for this music theory discussion. You remember last time we had like this discussion, the subject matter expert on neurology, Dr. Richard Pantera. something similar to that. We'll have a subject matter expert on music theory and also has experience with artificial intelligence programming, so it should be really interesting. The goal I want to do is to have some solid ideas on how we can create a MIDI encoder, and I think we need some knowledge of music theory to do that properly. So that should be pretty cool. And that's it. Take care. See you on the mailing list.
Thanks.